Welcome to the Panic Button, everyone. I'm Nina. Let's get into it.
You can hear this female student off screen claim that it's fine if a male takes out their genitalia in that room. Like, they have the right to do that. You can't make this up.
You wouldn't be uncomfortable if somebody like myself walked into the locker room, you were 6 feet away from me, and I just pulled my...
That's fine, that's your right.
This is from a conversation that was recorded 3 days ago, and this is the reality of where we are.
That's all I have.
Is it your right to pull your p*** out in front of women?
Well, that's public exposure.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I do. That's a matter of...
It's a really weird opinion.
She says, well, that's just a matter of opinion.
Okay, well, I do. That's a matter of...
And that might be your opinion, but your opinion does not get to determine the law for everyone. That's why this is so important. The good news is that if you just lay out the strategy, you can anticipate all of this every time, because it's always going to be the same talking points.
A woman is somebody who believes herself to be...
Okay. So let's test that logic now.
So this is what you're going to get. Move one. What I believe I am, I am. Let's disprove it.
A woman is somebody who believes herself to be basically a woman.
Therefore, it is subjective. How do we counter that?
Am I a lizard?
No.
I believe myself to be a lizard.
No, you don't.
All right, and there's the counter that you're going to see. No, you're not sincere in that belief. How do you judge sincerity?
I do. Okay, let me ask you this. How about this? Wait, hold up, David. We'll just test this real quick.
So then he pulls up an example of a person who does genuinely believe they are a lizard.
Is this a lizard?
Who is that?
It's a lizard. Is he a lizard?
And this guy has no response to this, so what's he going to do? He's going to try and stall by for time. Well, he's cool. All these comments that have nothing to do with the question being asked.
That's pretty cool.
Is he a lizard?
I call him a lizard. He's pretty cool.
Okay, and so you think that this person should be looked at and identified as a lizard by anybody who he wants to be identified as a lizard
I mean,
by?
I see the word lizard man.
What is a lizard man?
Is he a lizard?
He seems to be a lizard man.
Okay, is it true that he's a lizard?
I don't know anything about this guy, but...
So if he's a lizard, then we could capture him and put him in a cage and sell him to someone who wants him as a pet. Gotcha.
About the logic here. If he knows enough about this guy, he could determine whether or not he's a lizard. It's possible that he could be a lizard.
He's identifying as a lizard. Is he a lizard?
Is he?
You should be able to say, no, that's not a lizard. That's a human being. He's genuinely contemplating this question, though.
Is he a lizard? We went off your definition to be charitable.
This is a guy I really believe.
This is what it looks like when someone is just trying to pivot and circumvent and buy time. They do not want to answer the question.
Is that just because you identify as something does not make you that thing, right? I can identify as a cat and eat out of a cat bowl right now.
Here's the thing, is that these people, like this fruitcake on the right, he can dictate who is sincere in their belief, right? So if this guy who's talking says he's a lizard, the guy in the pink shirt can dictate whether or not that's true or not based off of his belief of the guy on the left's sincerity. So in order for us to know who is a woman and who is not a woman, we need someone to come in and be like, well, I believe they're sincere, therefore they are. So if that's the case, then somebody is going to be dictating the rule of law for everybody else based on if they believe someone is sincere or not. But you can't really measure sincerity. You can't measure if someone's actually being honest or not. You just have to believe or not believe. Well, that's not how rules work. That's not how laws work. He believed that he was a woman, therefore he exposed himself to children in the ladies' room. And that's okay. Well, who dictates that? The guy in the pink shirt. Well, why should we trust the guy in the pink shirt, right? So these arguments, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I am a woman. I don't need to tell anyone I am a woman. I don't need to believe I am a woman because I just know that I am a woman. I don't need to tell myself I am a woman because I know that I'm a woman. Regardless if this guy thinks I'm sincere or not, I don't care whether he thinks I'm sincere because I know that I'm a woman. So when laws are based on what someone says they are based on their sincerity, everything just kind of falls apart, because you don't know if that man who says he's a woman is actually being sincere or if he's actually being sneaky in order to do something creepy in the woman's bathroom. And should I allow the guy in the pink shirt to dictate what other guys do in the presence of little girls and women in their spaces based on if he believes they're sincere or not? Well, a lot of people who can feign sincerity in order to do really creepy things, and people like the guy on the right are very easily manipulated and tricked by people who are really good at acting sincere. So we need people who are logical, who base things on facts to dictate law and enforce law, not people who base everything off of emotions.
Doesn't make me a cat. I'm still a human being.
If I as a black person, right? Does that suddenly make me black?
This is one of the best counters you can provide there.
I think that there is a difference in this case when you're talking about gender roles.
Okay, why? Notice he doesn't actually explain why, though.
But I want to hear your definition of it too.
Yeah, my definition of a woman is just simply an adult human female.
Right. Now, if we're willing, I'd like to actually talk. Here's the thing about trans issues, right? Trans issues are something that objectively divides the country. Do you agree on that?
Sure.
So do race issues.
So,
That means that there is a significant portion. There's a significant portion of the country that has strong feelings that transgender people are highly valid.
what does it mean to be valid? If a high number of people believe that they were lizards, would that make them lizards?
Is this a lizard? He's transitioned to a lizard.
I would appreciate it if you didn't cut me off.
Go ahead.
A man can become a woman, we understand that, but does that make them a woman?
This is the issue at the heart of all trans debates, because it's going to come down to policy and law.
Okay, here's what I would say. If that lizard person that you have identified here, which is ridiculous, but if that lizard person,
I would say it's ridiculous to dress up like a woman.
Was miraculously transformed into a reptile, then
Yeah, but you see the problem here is he's tattooed scales on his body and he's forked his tongue so that he looks like a lizard.
That's awesome.
When a man transitions to a woman, they don't magically become a woman. They dress up like a woman and pretend to be one. You see how there's a difference there?
There's a study. There are studies one from 2022. I can pull it up if you like, if you want to get into studies, saying that the brain chemistry of trans women are more similar to cisgender women than they are to.
Nope, that's a lie. It's complete bullshit. Okay? Look it up yourself and you'll find that this is actually absolutely false. I have looked into this study myself and come to find out it's a lie. But people are so hard pressed on believing that it's true that they will circumnavigate around the falsities in order to make themselves believe that it's true, but it's actually not. It's absolute bullshit.
To cisgender men.
This is the Professor Dave argument, and there's some dispute around whether this is true, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. What's the point?
No, there's no, it's not true. It is absolutely false. There's no debate here. It is absolutely false. If you dig deeper, if you do the research, if you look into who's financing it, how the studies are done, and all that stuff, you will come to find out it is bullshit. So no, I'm not going with that. No. No.
So it doesn't make you a woman. You're still not an adult human female.
If we're arguing over definitions, you're going to lose any actual substantive debate, man. I want to actually talk with you about this.
Well, the problem that we have is that you say that anyone can become a woman as long as they identify as that. That means that if I just claim to be a woman right now the way I am, I can suddenly walk into the girl's bathroom.
So if a white guy identifies himself to be a black guy and we make up some fuddy-duddy scientific study that says, well, he has the same brain chemistry as a black guy, does that make him a black guy? No. Why? Because they'll say, well, gender and race are different. No. Okay, a black guy and a white guy have more in common than a white man and a white woman do, physically and genetically. You see what I'm saying? So they have no logical consistency. Ever. There's none. It doesn't exist. And even if I were to give him that the trans woman somehow, because we also have to believe that he actually has like gender dysphoria and stuff, and this is not some sort of kink fetish. If he has the same brain chemistry as a woman, his physical body is still not a woman. And how do we know that his brain chemistry is that of a woman? And it's not just some like weird kink fetish. How do we know? Well, we would have to do a study on him in order to find out. We can't just take him at his word. So that would take a lot of time and that would take a lot of money. Are we going to do that with every man who says he's a woman? No. Why? Because guy in the pink shirt would say, well, that's offensive and stuff like that. Oh, it's offensive. Well, I don't give a shit if it's offensive because what he's backing up and the things he's using to back up his argument, it's all baloney. It's all a bunch of garbage because he wants to be on the side of the trans women, which are just men pretending to be women. They're just men pretending to be women. And yet these are the same people who will say, well, I'm for feminism and I'm for women's rights, except for when it impedes on the rights of men to do whatever the they want in women's spaces.
bathroom here. That has an effect on policy.
And there it is. That's the heart of the conflict. It's about the law, it's policy, where the rubber meets the road.
But we can't have a debate about policy until we have a definition about the words, because if a woman means something else to you, and it obviously means something different to us, which is a generally accepted term, then we can't have a debate about the policy, because you'll continuously tell me that anyone that it just identifies as a woman is a woman. But that's not true.
Well, I think
it's objectively not true.
I have this new sponsor that I'm genuinely really excited about, Bearskin Tactical. Smart people are locking in their
Jump ahead.
Warren to 36912. If I walk into a women's space, they can call the police. Tomorrow, if I decide that I'm a woman and I walk into that same space, can they call the police? It's about, am I a woman under the law? It's not about, am I valid or my feelings valid?
I feel like what the last thing that this country needs is people trying to restrict freedom of expression here.
Totally agree.
Unfortunately, we got
trans
kicked
women
off
are
a
there.
campus.
So therefore, trans women are women? Is that what you're going to say?
This is the next move you're probably going to encounter.
What actual policy impacts does it have then?
Bathroom, sports.
Do you know, according to the NCAA, how many trans women in sports there are?
He's going to make the next standard attack.
Okay. All right. Before he says the bullshit, there's under 10. Actually do the research on this, okay? There's actually around 15,000 in America right now that are competing in all levels of women's sports. In high school alone, from what I found out, it's around 8,000. So these people will say it's under 10 or it's under 100, but that's actually not true because high schools don't have those statistics. They don't count them. They don't write them down. So this is all based on personal experiences of people coming out to the news, people coming out online and saying this stuff. It's also based on the percentage of boys who are identifying as women. And you would have to do the math in order to figure this out. I went down this giant rabbit hole ChatGPT to actually find out how many there are, because at first ChatGPT told me, well, they say it's around 10. And then I said, well, that doesn't make any sense because of how many different instances I've seen in the past 3 years alone. And then ChatGPT said, well, it could be around 100. And I'm like, that still doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's get to the bottom of it. Stop giving me the woke bullshit. Let's find out for real. If high schools don't keep that information, and I keep seeing all these instances happening, well over 100 different instances within America of high school boys competing in female sports. If I'm seeing that, what is the actual average of men who are identifying as women competing in female sports? And after a little bit of math, we find out there's around like 8,000. And in all levels, it's around like 16,000, something like that. So when this guy's about to give his bullshit answer, I haven't seen this, so I'm just guessing what the bullshit answer is going to be, because that's usually the narrative going around. It's under 10 or under 100. When he gives this answer, just remember that that's bullshit. Okay? Now let's continue.
The number of trans people in sports is very small. Ironically, this is kind of countering their own argument because, okay, well, then why are we changing the entire legal definition of man and woman under the law for a small number of people?
The NCAA found that in the entirety of America, the number of trans people competing in top-level sports is less than 10.
Yes, what'd I tell you? What the frick did I tell you? What'd I tell you? I have in my bookmarks right now well over 10 because I have been racking them up to actually do a video on it eventually, of how many boys in high school, just boys in high school alone, are competing in female sports in America. That's not even including in all levels of sports. When they say it's under 10, it's fucking bullshit. Okay, they're just repeating a talking point. They're repeating the baloney that they've heard, which is actually false. And even if it was 10, Warren gives a good point. Why are we changing the rules for 1% of the population or 0.1% of the population? Why are we doing that? Because the patriarchy is so crafty.
And I found that the amount of murders committed every single year are less than 1% of the population. Does that mean murder's fine? Don't make it illegal?
This is not about the frequency or the number. The law affects everyone.
I have a
be
question
scared.
for you. Of the 10 college athletes,
You wouldn't be comfortable?
how many of them have sexually assaulted somebody else within a locker room?
I don't care.
You're rolling your eyes.
I believe the number is 2.
It's not. I don't care. My argument doesn't hinge on that. It's irrelevant.
You can't even give a number. You can't even give a number because the amount of women who have actually been sexually assaulted, we don't know. We can give a guesstimation, but the amount of women who have been sexually assaulted never talked about it or went to the police about it is insurmountable in comparison to the amount of women who have actually come forward about it. So if this guy is going to give us a direct answer of how many women have actually been assaulted in the bathroom, especially by trans women, knowing that they'll be shamed into oblivion for it by coming out, you know it's bullshit what he's saying. You know it for a fact. Every woman knows a woman who's been sexually assaulted. And they don't even want to come out then. Now put on top of it, it's a trans woman doing it. Well, I think we know that she's probably going to be shamed into oblivion for coming out about that. So she's definitely not coming out about that. And how many women is that? Well, we don't know, but we have to guess, right? And our guess is sometimes going to be off. It might be a little bit too much or a little bit too little. Either way, the answer that he gives or is going to give about what the actual number is absolutely false. And if that woman is friends with a guy like this, if you ever go out with him, cover your drink. Cover your drink. And if anything bad happens to you, run away from that guy because he will take you down with him. He will not defend you if you get attacked. He will not defend you in any instance because these guys, I have to say, they're the ones who help the evil people do evil stuff, especially to women.
Think about what this would legally allow a man to do if he was so inclined. A guy with a beard could just decide he subjectively feels like a woman and now have legal access to those spaces.
You wouldn't be uncomfortable if somebody like myself walked into the locker room, you were 6 feet away from me, and I just pulled my...
A student off screen, a woman claimed that, well, you have the right to take out your genitalia.
That's fine, that's your right.
That's all I have.
It's your right to pull your penis out in front of women?
That's public exposure.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I do. That's matter.
It's a really weird opinion.
And if you bring up real examples of
Yeah, and these are the same women who say that they're feminists and protect all women. And I'm for abortion. You see, because I'm okay with the guy going into the bathroom with a little girl and abusing her. Like, that's fine, as long as she can get the abortion afterwards. These people are insane. They shouldn't be able to vote. And I think they should be in a padded room because they do nothing but hurt society and the people in it, especially the most vulnerable in society.
where this has occurred in real life. The tactic is to accuse you of bringing up extreme examples that have never happened.
You are using the most...
But they happen all the time, and we all know this. Come on, how many women do you know who have been assaulted, right? No, it's actually probably more than you realize because they haven't told anybody. Because most women who get assaulted never speak up about it. Just keep that in mind.
Extreme examples which have never happened to justify policy.
They have happened. I just gave you specific examples of them happening.
They've never happened. Okay, yeah. This guy should never be a father, and he should never be taking care of anything that's innocent. Because as soon as that innocent thing or person or animal comes into contact with someone that he deems to be more of a minority, he's going to take their side regardless of how awful they are or what they do. And this guy obviously doesn't live in reality. This guy has obviously never experienced any hardships or been around anyone who's experienced any hardships aside from having their feelings hurt. These are dangerous people in society who should not vote.
Then if you do show examples, well, you're just showing anecdotal evidence to reinforce stereotypes.
And if you do give them the factual information, then they'll say, well, it happens, but, it's not always bad.
Female friend.
I do have a female friend.
Okay, if she came to you and said the exact same story, I was in a locker room, somebody that identifies as a woman that's obviously a male started to unchanged next to me, undress.
He would be defensive of the trans woman. Trans woman, I say that loosely because self-ID is a thing. So you don't even need to do anything to be trans. You can just say you are and be a creep.
And I saw his penis.
And it's not even just that either. It's you're standing in front of this guy with the penis and you're naked too.
Yeah.
No.
And she came and complained to you. What would you tell her? That she's wrong, that she's sick?
What I tell her is that locker rooms are architecturally designed in such a way that no two people who are changing have to necessarily...
No, they're not.
So then he just makes the...
What'd I tell you? The worst people to be friends with are these people. Ladies, if you're friends with these guys, get rid of them because they will make your life miserable. They will not defend you. They're not good people. They're not good friends. They have no integrity. They have no backbone. They stand for nothing but what is in the moment that is popular. And right now, it's guys who say they're women. And most of the guys who say they're women are not, I emphasize this strongly, are not good human beings. The portion of trans women who are actually good individuals is incredibly small because we allowed the freaks and the evil men to invade that chapter of society by just saying a sentence. And now they're trans. And now the creeps can do whatever they want because they've identified into a minority with words.
The common argument of essentially you should just get over it.
Go into like a bathroom.
Right. Their locker room didn't have those.
I'm a club sports member.
These arguments are so standard and just so ingrained in this ideology that you can learn to anticipate them. You know they're coming.
You ever seen a locker room? They're like built into the wall.
Yep.
Each person has a cubby, right?
Yes.
Right. So you're all standing shoulder to shoulder next to each other getting naked, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You see how that can be uncomfortable for a woman changing next to a man? In a wet race suit that's the size to like fit an American Girl doll that takes 20 minutes to get in and out of when it's soaking wet.
20 minutes, guys.
And how does he counter this?
Takes 20 minutes to change
Yes.
the wetsuit, folks.
Okay, let's say it takes 5
Actually, it does. It does. Because they're very, very tight and they actually need help getting into them. Listen to interviews with women who are professional athletes, swimmers. Ask them the process of having to get into those swimsuits, okay? Like, if any individual tells me that they think it's okay for a man who just says he's a woman to go into the female locker room or the female bathroom, I automatically know that that person's a piece of shit. And you should too.
5 minutes. What's your point?
Somebody has had their genitals, like a trans woman has had their genitals surgically reconstructed so that they are, let's say, identical to the other genitals of the woman on the...
Nope, they are never identical. They are absolutely never, I repeat once again, never identical. Because if they were, more men would be fucking them. And they aren't.
Visually.
Yeah. Still a man.
Why would they be uncomfortable with that?
You have to keep the rule.
Well, see, you're not a woman. So you don't understand it because you've never had to walk down the street and be constantly catcalled or followed by some creep who's trying to talk to you. And then if you ignore him, he calls you a bitch and tries to get hostile with you. You've never had that, right? You never had to deal with having to be worried about going for a walk at night because you don't know who's out there or what they're going to do because you are physically weaker. These men are the same men who say they're feminists. They're not feminists. They're male chauvinists. They're pieces of shit. They're assholes. They are fooling individuals who don't know better most of the time. And they always have the same arguments, so you can always bet exactly what they're going to say. You can actually play them. You could play them because you know exactly what they're going to say because they've been repeating it for the past 10 years. So you can actually set up your arguments to completely demolish whatever retarded response they're going to give in order to expose them for not only the hypocrites, but the evil pieces of shit they are. Anyway, like and subscribe, everyone. Join our memberships to keep this channel going. And I will see you in the next one, ladies. Stay vigilant and get rid of these guys as friends. Trust me, they'll be a detriment to your life or your safety one day. Adios.